Hello and welcome to another color with me. Today I'll be coloring Jigglypuff from the Pokemon Mystery coloring book. I bought the book off of Lyrica.com and it is number 49 from the book. And here are the colors if you're interested in coloring along. I chose to color Jigglypuff today because I was very inspired by the Super Bowl ad, the Super Bowl Pokemon ad, and in it, Lady Gaga is singing um, the Jigglypuff song because Jigglypuff is her favorite character, and it basically has the two of them kind of singing together, and I thought it was so adorable. And the way that Jigglypuff is singing in this picture is kind of it reminds me so much of the way that Lady Gaga was singing as if she was Jigglypuff. I thought was perfect. And I really loved the process of coloring this one because really there aren't any boring sections. I think I finally understand why the backgrounds are so intricate in this Pokemon book. The background, it has so many different sections and colors going on. It's so fun trying to figure out what part to color next and all the different colors. So like I like the variation in markers. And then the foreground, the Pokemon is so nostalgic and usually so cute. And you're just trying your best to, or I'm trying my best to kind of let the personality of the Pokemon pop when I get to that point. So there really aren't any boring sections. I also thought Jigglypuff was perfect for February because it's Valentine's month and she's one of the pinkest Pokemon and so, so sweet. And back to coloring, I wasn't quite sure whether I chose the right hues for the sky blue and this yellow. I thought the sky blue was maybe too dark, too pigmented, and then the yellow seemed too light because I knew the yellow was supposed to give this kind of glow to the clouds. But I decided to try rolling with it and see how I like it once more colors were layered on. And this yellow also is a little bit see through, but I think it's just to be expected from any yellow acrylic pens. I tried looking up many different brands of pens and found that yellow just doesn't perform well in most of them because there just isn't that much pigment in there, which makes sense. And once I layered this orange in, I really liked the way that the yellow looked, so I was happy with that. And I was trying to be very careful to go around all the music notes at this point. I was impressed that the music notes were actual notes and made sense musically. Sometimes for cartoons, they put music notes just like backwards and things just that look like music but aren't. And I liked that the illustrator kind of knew what they were doing. So kudos to the illustrator. It's funny in the time lapse videos, the sections that have to go around intricate areas take so long, and then coming up here, the mountains because they're pretty straightforward just get filled so fast. And this pen, both pens actually were a bit streaky, so I knew to just kind of let it dry and then go over it later. I love all the greens in this. There were, I think, 5 or 6 different kinds of greens that were used here, and the Guangna greens are just so good. I love how true green this green is, and then the other ones that are darker are so pigmented, so well mixed. They tickle my brain in such a beautiful way. um, and I loved that the greens in the leaves in the tree are different from the greens in the grass below, and they just really bring out the picture. They make coloring just so, so fun. And the browns in the tree as well were so pigmented. I loved using them. The Guangna markers, when they get to the darker shades that perform really well, make just coloring so, 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 so fun. And I think this is why people end up buying so many different markers because the ones that aren't so good make you think, maybe I should get better ones so that I really enjoy coloring all these different shades, not just the ones that are really good. So I've been watching so many videos um, of people getting into the ranking of acrylic markers, and it seems like everyone's really getting into it now, uh, even within the last month or so. So I'm excited to see what the verdict is. I bought a couple Posca markers because I heard that that was the golden standard of paint markers. So we'll see. I wanted a better option of outlining, and for black, and I knew that the blacks I have would run out way faster than the other colors. So I decided, why not? Why not try a different brand in just the black? So we'll see how they turn out. I guess I'll let you know in a future video. Some of these screens did the confusing thing where the wet version looks the same as the color I was coloring beside them, so I had to be a bit careful. But when they didn't do that, it was a relief and so made it so easy to color. I love doing the last few colors when there are only a couple of sections of white because it feels like I'm kind of finishing a process, and it always feels so nice. And also seeing the outline of the Pokemon is so fun. As I said mentioned before, this is kind of like my version of Who's That Pokemon, where I just leave the silhouette. I couldn't decide whether I wanted to do the notes first or Jigglypuff first, but I decided to do the notes first so that Jigglypuff gets to just have the final ending of the coloring. And it was quite fun finding all these different circle bubbles and notes to color them in. And the gel pens worked really well for this. I was very happy with the Languo gel pens for this. And I think they turned out pretty good. They pop on top of the acrylic, which I really appreciate. And here's Jigglypuff. I thought that this pink was really good. Instead of trying to match exactly the hue, I decided to match the vibe, and that worked out so much better. And that's what I should have done with Pikachu in the last video from the beginning rather than just trying to match the hue, because the way that the printed ink looks versus painted swatches, I feel like the ink kind of darkens certain areas and doesn't really match what the Pokemon looks like in my eyes. And I really like this. And I had to do a couple layers because the pink was a bit see through, which you can't really see on camera, but I could see it. So that's why I did a couple layers. And it's funny because when I'm coloring and I see the see through parts and cover them, later when I take the image into like sunlight, I see even more, but I have to let it go at that point. I love the way that the ears are so dark and the mouth and everything. The pens turned out really well. And here's always my favorite part, the outlining. And I used the gel pen today and it worked out pretty well here. My outlining isn't the smoothest when I outline with the gel pen because it kind of gets stuck in some of the balls grooves of the tip. But I thought it worked really well here because to me, I think it adds more kind of dimension to Jigglypuff and makes Jigglypuff seem a bit more animated rather than a still. So I like that look here. I made sure to be a little bit smoother over the microphone though. And here's the finished product. I love the way that it turned out, as always, from this book. And if you're interested in hearing Jigglypuff sing, watch the short that I made of this. Thank you for sticking around, and please like and subscribe if you're interested in more content like this. Bye!